What's good, my people? Yeah, it's been a minute, huh? How you doing? Missed you. So anyway, okay, I know you checked out the title, okay? American Gods. These TV shows that they have out now. Be careful of the devil's devices, the snares the devil puts out there for you guys. This is a cautionary tale for those who have ears to hear. Don't watch. Simply don't watch those shows, my friends. Those are simply snares that the devil wants to ensnare you with. My people perish because of lack of knowledge. Okay? We perish because we don't know, we don't study, first of all, to show ourselves approved, okay? And to study, to know, God tells you the devil is a sneaky little something. He is sneaky, okay? And in the law, God said, don't worship any other gods before me. There's certain things in the laws, in the statutes, in the commandments that we are just not to do. Or the devil, if you do them, can put his hooks in you, snare you right into a little trap, and now you battling demons. And that is something you don't want to do, my friend. Have a discussion about this. These movies, things that you put into your mind, always know that you can never erase them. You can never erase it. It's there. Our mind is always like for years and decades or what have you. But then when them demons come, because you done open a snare, you done been snared into the devil's traps, you done put your hands on something, you thought it was so innocent. Oh, I'm just gonna watch this series, honey. This is my show. This is my show. Yeah, American Gods, where they talking about all these gods, all these different gods, heathen, pagan gods. Do some research yourself so you won't be ensnared. You're watching this stuff and spirits is jumping all over people. You done opened so many doors, they done jumped in and sitting back waiting for the appropriate time when they want to mess with you, when they want to take you down. Because remember, the enemy only comes to steal, kill, and destroy. My people perish because of the lack of knowledge. We're going to talk some more. So this is 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Don't be ignorant. So be careful of what you watch, what you allow your children to watch. Okay? Now, I do have clips of these shows that I'm talking about. Discretion is advised. Okay, guys. I'm going to get off because I don't want this to be too long, because I'm going to add these other clips in here.
American Gods, Gaiman does just that. He sets the story in a contemporary America, seen through the eyes of the protagonist, Shadow Moon, then slowly pulls Shadow into the realm of stories that live and breathe, the realm of the gods. These gods don't simply exist in people's minds, they are personified physical characters. Or are they? Shadow is led on a mission by Wednesday, one of the old gods. Wednesday hopes to join forces with the other old gods in order to fight the new gods, who are attempting to wipe the old gods from the minds of Americans, thus destroying them. With the Starz Network new American Gods series set to premiere soon, I thought this would be a good time to make a video revealing the background of the old gods who will make an appearance in the show. In case you're worried about spoilers, I will not reveal much of the plot, aside from the basic premise I just described, and will simply give you some context as to the mythology behind each of these characters, and how they ended up in America. So, let's start with the character that drags Shadow Moon into this whole mess in the first place, Wednesday.
Today's my day.
In the novel, Wednesday's identity may not be obvious right away, that is, if you're not familiar with the origin of the English words for the days of the week.
Tuesday, Woden's Day, Tuna's Day,
Freya's Day,
and Saturn's Day. Sorry, do you mind? You're a Roman god?
Yes, that's right. The word Wednesday originally meant Woden's Day, Woden being the Anglo-Saxon version of Odin, the Norse god. The Norse and Saxons once shared a very similar culture and religion. However, after relocating to Britain, the Saxons adopted Christianity. Yet, there are still remnants of the Saxons' pagan past in the modern version of their language. The language I'm speaking right now, somewhat poorly, English. Odin and his son Thor are currently two of the most widely known figures from ancient mythology, due to several very successful Hollywood movies being made about them. But in case you aren't that familiar with the Allfather's backstory, I'll describe it briefly. According to Norse mythology, Odin is the ruler of Asgard, one of 9 realms connected by the ginormous world tree, Yggdrasil. Odin and his brothers Vili and Ve created the world from the body of the giant Ymir, including the realm we humans live in, Midgard. Odin is considered to be the wisest and greatest of the Norse gods, and has an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, for which he sacrificed one of his own eyes at the well of Mimir. He often appears as a long-bearded man wearing a cloak, broad hat, and carrying the enchanted spear, Gungnir, his weapon of choice. His 2 ravens, Thought and Mind, are often close by. Norse warriors who died honorably in battle could be chosen by the Valkyrie to join Odin in his great hall. The first god Shadow and Wednesday meet on their travels initially describes himself as an Irish leprechaun, despite being close to 7 feet tall.
How'd you do it? With panache.
Mad Sweeney definitely defies the stereotypical depiction of a leprechaun. And yet, his appearance would not be out of place in Irish folklore about the Dina Shi, or Mound Folk, the supernatural fairy-like race that leprechauns originated from. In Irish and Scottish mythology, the Dina Shi come in a variety of shapes, sizes, and appearances. Leprechauns are only one classification among many. The Dina Shi live in an invisible world, parallel to our own, often inhabiting and guarding over hills, stones, trees, and other elements in nature. Folklore regarding the Dina Shi may have derived from mythology about the Tuatha De Danann, pre-Christian gods of Gaelic Ireland. Mad Sweeney's name, however, is a reference to Builla Hina, a mad king from Irish folklore who is cursed to wander all of Ireland until his death. Whether or not Sweeney is a leprechaun or a mad king is uncertain, but one thing we do know for sure is that he's Irish and enjoys it. The next god Shadow and Wednesday meet on their travels in a modest house in Chicago is a remnant of the pre-Christian Slavic tribes. He's not so much a good god, but rather a bad god. In fact, his name, Chernobog, literally means black god or evil god, the polar opposite of the Slavic god Bielobog, god of light and sun. Or perhaps both of them are dual identities of the same being.
These guys play for keeps. Black Hammer, White Lightning.
It's difficult to say what role Chernobog truly played in Proto-Slavic mythology, as there are not many reliable records regarding him. Many scholars believe the ancient Slavs were influenced by the Persian concept of dualism, which would explain the character of Chernobog and his opposing brother Bielobog. However, in the pantheon of Proto-Slavic deities, Chernobog and Bielobog are far less important than the opposing gods Perun and Velis, or the sun god Dasbog, the giver of fortune. But none of them were featured in a classic Disney animated movie like Chernobog. Chernobog's companions Zorya Utranyaya and Zorya Vachurnyaya are also references to dualistic Slavic mythology. The Zorya are 2 guardian goddesses also known as the Auras. Zorya Utranyaya is the morning star who opens the gates to Dasbog's palace in the morning, and Zorya Vachurnyaya is the evening star who closes the gates once he returns in the evening. Both goddesses guard against Simargl, the doomsday hound. In American gods, the Zorya have a third sister, Zorya Polnochnaya, the midnight star, who is largely an invention by Gaiman based on a few references to Nancy. Nancy is better known as Anansi, the spider spirit from West African and Caribbean folklore. His name literally translates as spider in the Akan language, and the tales of his many exploits originated with the Ashanti people of Ghana. In folklore, Anansi sometimes appears as a spider and sometimes as a man. Shadow and Wednesday first meet Mr. Ibis at the Ibis and Jekyll family funeral parlor, which is appropriately in Cairo, Illinois. But the character is introduced earlier in American Gods as the author of several Coming to America stories. The scholarly work Ibis does on the side of his funeral home business is appropriate considering he's the ancient Egyptian god of knowledge, Thoth.
Go on. I'm waiting.
In the pantheon of Egyptian gods, Thoth plays a very important role as pretty much all scholarly pursuits like science, writing, measurement, not to mention the moon and magic, are attributed to him. In Egyptian mythology, Thoth is credited with a number of scientific achievements. For instance, the creation of the 365-day calendar. He is usually depicted as a man with the head of an ibis, explaining his character name in American Gods. And he has a scientific method for judging the dead, which explains why he runs a funeral parlor. His partner at the parlor, Mr. Jekyll, is Anubis, the jackal-headed god of embalming and graves. In Egyptian mythology, the pair of them are responsible for allowing a soul entrance to the afterlife. Anubis ushers the soul to the Hall of Two Truths in Duat, the underworld, where Thoth weighs the soul's heart on a scale against the feather of Ma'at. If the heart is as light as the feather, the soul can enter the afterlife. But if the heart weighs more, it is eaten by the demon Amit, and the soul remains in limbo. In other words, the Ibis and Jekyll family funeral parlor is not a place you want to end up if you have a heavy heart.
You have died, Mrs. Fadil.
This Wednesday and Shadow approach is flourishing in modern America despite being of pagan origin. The Germanic goddess Eostra gave her name to the modern Christian holiday of Easter. In Germanic
We're in the last days. All right, much love.